Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digitally Uploaded Podcast, the companion podcast of digitallydownloaded.net. I'm Matt Sainsbury, the editor-in-chief of Digitally Downloaded, and with me this week we have nobody. Absolutely nobody. It's all me by myself. Actually, no, we don't. We have some people. We have Trent. Hello, Trent.
Hello. That was awkward. I'm now considering not being here. I'll just hide on my table for the duration of the podcast.
That's usually what you do anyway, isn't it? We gag you and throw you down. We also have Matt. Hello, Matt.
Hello. This podcast is getting a bit kinkier than I was expecting.
It always happens when you're on. It's all your fault, Matt. I blame you.
I feel like it's Alan's fault, really.
Yeah, when Alan's not here to discipline us.
No, Alan makes it cursed. Matt makes it kinky, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, I've been playing too much Final Fantasy VIII and Quistis, the disciplinarian.
Too bad it's not kinky anymore because they
censored it.
Censored it to hell and back.
Yeah, it's so censored.
Move that neckline up half an inch.
I know, it's a completely different Renoa now. You can't enjoy her anymore.
No.
We'll save the conversation about censored stuff for another day, as in never, because it's a boring topic. We'll go to some Hatsune Miku music. What are we going to play this week? It was the Miku concert actually last week because it was Miku's birthday and stuff, and they have a big concert in Japan every year. That's the one I've been to. It's pretty good. I'm trying to think what song will we play. We'll play Senbon Sakura because that's the easy go-to one when I'm lazy. back, everybody. Okay, so last week was a big week for news for Nintendo because Nintendo did one of its Nintendo Direct things, and that's become pretty much the highlight of the calendar as far as video game news goes. They're getting bigger and bigger, and I don't know, Nintendo's going from strength to strength with its stuff. This Switch console thing is turning out to be a pretty good console. And yeah, they've given up on the 3DS now. They're not supporting that anymore, thank goodness. They've finally moved on. So it's all Switch all the time. And this week we had some pretty big news come. Let's start with you, Trent. Give us one pick. You get one pick from that show. What was your favorite announcement?
One pick?
One pick. Yeah, just one.
One pick. Let's go with... Oh, there's so many to choose from. Just one pick. Oh.
Yep.
Let's go with Animal Crossing, because I'm looking at an icon for like the game right now.
Yes, so Animal Crossing, what did they show? They showed footage of the game in action, and apparently it's...
Nook has a new shirt.
Nook has a new shirt, and you were stranded on an island, and you can... What was the exact line? It was something like you can enjoy...
A Nook's getaway. It's like a getaway experience in like a deserted island or something. It was something really weird along the lines of it was a dry, deserted, like, holiday destination, and like when it was like post, we were all like tweeting was, sounds better in Australia.
It was something like enjoy the deserted island life, which to me kind of means starvation, dehydration, and sunburn. But what would I know? Apparently, Animal Crossing is not about starvation, dehydration, and sunburn. Apparently, it's quite the utopia that you get to enjoy, and you can enjoy it with
it actually
friends.
rains in Animal Crossing.
It does, a little bit.
I've still never played Animal Crossing, but people keep saying that Nook is like a slumlord. Is that true?
Nook is the bad. He's the bad guy.
It doesn't sound like a utopian.
It's how you interpret his child labor and clearly seedy practices. He could either be your hero or he could be the most evil villain of all video games.
Yeah, so basically Tom Nook gives you your plot of land when you show up, and you don't really get a choice in the matter. He just gives it to you, and then says, oh, by the way, now you owe me a whole crap load of money, so go shake down some trees, get some fruit, sell it, and give me my monies back. So that's basically Tom Nook.
And this time around you just get a tent, but I think in the last one you got a tent as well, did you, in New Leaf?
Not that I remember. I had a house.
Like the first thing. I thought you got a tent. Oh, that you got a tent, and then maybe the animals got the tents. I thought they got tents in the last one. Like while you wait for your house to be built, he gives you a tent.
I don't remember actually. Possibly, but anyway,
it's now fact. It's happening.
Anyway, Animal Crossing multiplayer, which is cool. It looks fun. You can fish with friends, which is apparently Well, I'll put it this way: I'd rather fish with friends than play Fortnite with them. So that's a good thing. There's also, what else is there to do? You buy a lot of crap and fill your tent up with stuff, I assume, because it's a hoarder's paradise game.
Really, for the most part, it's pretty much Animal Crossing just on an island. There's some of the new features are like you get a Nook phone now, so like you get like a bunch of apps and stuff on the phone, and you get like flybys equivalent points for like spending on Nook. Just weird things like that because you're on a getaway destination, and you can put items instead of in your house. You can put them outside around your house as well, like all the same furniture sets. So there's a few new features here and there, but the biggest thing is going to be once it's out, how is that destination island going to actually play for diehard Animal Crossing fans?
Yeah, basically, I mean, Nintendo's not going to change Animal Crossing too much because it has a very loyal fan base and they want Animal Crossing when they get Animal Crossing. So I guess the big thing is that it's going to be on the Switch, which is nice. I mean, Switch is good for everything, so it'll be good. Good choice there, Trent. Max, your pick. You get one pick only.
Only one?
Yeah, well, I gave the rule to Trent. So I can't give you, leeway. So, one pick.
Even though we have the same name, I don't get any special consideration.
I'm not letting you steal my pick. No, you get one pick.
At the risk of stealing your pick, my one pick is, if I only get one, it's Tokyo Mirage Sessions coming to Switch.
You bastard, that was my pick.
I thought it might be.
That's big news. It's huge. We've been calling for that one since basically the Switch was announced. So, when Nintendo's been out there saying, "Oh, we're bringing Bayonetta to the console. Oh, we're bringing this Wii U game." We've all been saying, "Where's Tokyo Mirage Sessions?" And now it's finally coming, which is good.
It is like a lot of things on Wii U. Actually, it's a very good game that just didn't get the recognition it deserved because it came out on Wii U, and
it wasn't just that it came out on the Wii U. It came out on the Wii U right at the end of the Wii U's life as well, when nobody was playing it.
Yeah.
Was the Switch announced by that point? I can't remember. It was.
Oh.
That's probably because I remember being hesitant about buying it, and I was really positive about the experience, but I was really hesitant, so I don't know why. But that explains it. The Switch was already announced. It was a dead console. We were all starving for something new.
That makes sense. But the way it's always described, which is kind of, well, technically is true, is that it's like a mashup of Persona and Fire Emblem, which is kind of is true, but also doesn't really do justice to what it actually is, because it's both elements of it really are quite superficial, but especially the Fire Emblem stuff. But basically, it's just another Persona game, but with a different kind of new characters and different sort of framing, and pretty much the best one since Persona 4 Golden. I'd
definitely
go so
better
far.
Than Persona 5. Definitely.
Yeah, I would go that far and say. It was weird playing Persona 5 after playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions, because there's a lot of similarities, and to the point where I suspect a lot of Tokyo Mirage Sessions came from stuff that was cut from Persona 5, and then they just picked up stuff off the cutting room floor and decided to make another game that ended up being better.
I'm 100% convinced. I would put money on a bet that Tokyo Mirage Sessions started because Nintendo really needed a RPG or something. They needed a new game for their Wii U, and through discussions with Atlas or whatever, they realized that there's perhaps this demo for a Persona game that they put together, some tech demo stuff for it, or there was a scrapped Persona game that they didn't finish, and Nintendo's like, well, throw some Fire Emblem bits in there, and we'll wrap it up and we'll call it a Tokyo Mirage Session. So I'm 100% convinced that this game started out as a Persona game that got scrapped, and then Nintendo revived it to get an exclusive thing on the Wii U.
Well, for the most part, you could really just replace the characters which are Fire Emblem characters with any characters. Like, it's not set in stone that it's a Fire Emblem for Persona. Like, it really could have had any characters to fit any role. So.
Well, yeah, and I mean, all the main characters are not Fire Emblem characters by any means. They're definitely Persona characters, the actual protagonists and stuff. The Fire Emblem stuff is like the summons and things, and that's pretty minor. Like, that really is. That's no different to your personas in Persona. It's just a Fire Emblem coat of paint, really, which is good. I mean, I don't think of it as a Fire Emblem game at all, which is the point. I don't think it's a bad thing that it's not a Fire Emblem game at all. I think it's perfectly good for what it is, and I really love I love the way it kind of engages with various pop culture elements in Japan. The way it does the idol thing, the way it does the fashion photography thing, and the music scene, and all those kinds of aesthetic and thematic things, which are it's a very Japanese game, very, very Japanese. And
it's also an extremely stylish game.
Yeah, very.
Like, I don't think I've ever seen a game where the UI just looks that good, and I could sit there for an hour and just stare at the menu screen, like, admiring just how well designed it is, and how an hour might be an exaggeration, but Persona 5 looks bad next to it. Like, it's that good, and Persona 5 is not a bad looking game by any means.
It's definitely like a weird grungy style in Persona 5. It's like how Matt hates like Splatoon style, The World Ends With You style, all that kind of stuff. I feel like it's good design for what it is, but I feel like it's a very confronting art style.
I think
Persona 5 or Tokyo Mirage?
Persona 5.
Yeah, Persona 5 is definitely kind of one of those really drenched in color games, where everything is just so vibrant that it becomes I can see it becoming overbearing for some people. I personally got along really well with the aesthetic of Persona 5. I thought it was quite gorgeous for all the other faults that it has, and it has an awful lot of other faults. I don't have an issue with the visual style of it, but I do think that Tokyo Mirage Sessions is a little bit more, not flat, more neutral. A game that I think the aesthetics will appeal to a broader range of people rather than just that kind of person that really enjoys that drenched, overbearing color of Persona 5.
What's your pick, Matt? You
my
only
pick,
get one.
Yeah, I only get one. So
yeah.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions. That's my pick. No.
You're picking the SNES games.
No, we're going to talk about the SNES games in the next section because that's worth a section all to itself. No, I'm going to go really indie. Really, really indie. So can you guess which one that is?
Does it involve sweary?
No, actually. We'll have to talk about that a bit later on too. No, really indie. Even more. Lucas Pope indie.
Wow, I only thought Deadly Premonition was the only indie game. What else did I miss?
Was it the game? Yeah.
Obra
yes, that. Yes. Oh.
I have badly wanted to play Obra Dinn for a long time now. I don't play games on PC much, and it's been a PC-only title. But I was such a fan of Paper Please that I really wanted to play this game. So I'm so happy to see it come to console, and I think it's going to be great. And I was really amused watching the feed as it was, popping up. I was watching it live, and then all the Twitch YouTube commenters that I was watching along with, they're all going, "Oh my god, it looks like a Game Boy game." And it's like, you idiots. But it does. It doesn't, but it does.
That's why I just look at the Twitter feed. It's more personalized to people which I hate rather than people on YouTube which I don't know and hate.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen Obra Dinn before, it does kind of, it's got that black and white, really early video game aesthetic, lots of dots, lots of pixels. It looks more like, I guess, one of those early Mac games to me. In its design, and I think it's done really beautifully. It's obviously a much more advanced game than that, and it's done deliberately, and it's an aesthetic choice, and it's gorgeous. And this is a detective kind of supernatural, investigative kind of story-driven game. It's very, from what I've heard, it's very good. It's very Lucas Pope, and he did do Papers, Please. So
I think the last time I played it or saw any footage was that one time we were at PAX together and we looked at the booth and it was there and we're like, oh, that's cool. And that was that was the last time I even when it launched, it didn't really click to me that it had launched. So it sort of just went under the radar after then. It was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm really excited for it. And then it's like, oh, is it even out? But now it's on the Switch, I'm picking it up, definitely. I
don't think that has much to do with the quality of the game. I think that's more just Lucas Pope doesn't do PR. I remember when we were at that PAX thing, Lucas was actually there, but he was just sitting in the corner, just doing nothing and not even trying to get people to pay attention to his game. He doesn't do press much. He just relies, I guess, on people discovering his games and talking about them. I don't know if that's just because he can't be bothered or he's a bit of an introvert. But whatever the reason, he's not good at PR out in his games. But hopefully, with a console release, this one gets a new wave of attention because everything I have read about it is very positive indeed. On that note, we're going to go to some music. What are we going to listen to? I'm going to throw it at Matt. Pick a song, Matt. I like doing this.
We'll pick something from Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Okay, good stuff.
I'll find something.
It's all good music anyway.
Yeah.
It's very stylish. All right, Tokyo Mirage Sessions. And welcome back. Okay, so one of the other big announcements from this Switch Direct thing, Nintendo Direct thing, was that Super NES games have come to the Switch for people that are members of that Nintendo Online Club thing. What do they call it? Nintendo. It's just Nintendo Online, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch Online, I think.
Yeah, Nintendo Switch Online. So if you're a member of Nintendo Switch Online, you would know that you get a new NES game to play every month or whatever, a couple of new NES games. And that library, I think, is up to about 48 games or whatever. Nintendo's finally listened to all the fans and has dropped the Super NES onto the console as well. And on top of that, they did a pretty good job of launching it with 20 games to play, which are all available right now if you are a subscriber to the Nintendo Online. And those games are a pretty good range, I have to say. Am I wrong? Yeah, I'm right.
You're
It's
not wrong.
pretty good.
You're not wrong.
It's a pretty good range. It's got a bit of everything. There's a Breath of Fire, so if you're into your RPGs, that's there. There's platformers, of course, Yoshi's Island.
Good game.
And yeah, that's a good game indeed. There's Zelda, of course, the great Zelda that everybody has fond nostalgias for. And then there's some odd ones, some very nichey things that I hadn't even played. What's that brawler one that's there? I can't remember what it's called.
There's something called Brawl Brothers.
Brawl Brothers, that's the
I've
one.
never heard of it before this, but that was funny you mentioned that because I'm just playing with my Switch while we're on the podcast, and I've just loaded it up to see what it was.
Yeah, so that's a
surprise! It's a brawler.
Yeah, it's a side-scrolling brawler, which is pretty neat. From the 5 minutes I played of it, I hadn't heard of it before either. There is the lesser-known entry into the Ghouls and Ghosts, Goblins and Ghosts, whatever series from Capcom. That one where you play as the gargoyle. What's it called? Demon's Crest. That's there.
I had never heard of that before.
Yeah, so in that one you actually play as the gargoyle. So
I've played a little bit of that. It seems really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. Really gorgeous art. Very nice. It's reminding me of how good the Super NES games actually could look, actually. Yeah, and it's a good range, I'd say. There's a bit of everything in there for everybody, and I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest.
Star Fox.
Star Fox is there too, yes.
Yes. And
no
Star
Fox
FX.
Actually, no, I'm going to take it back. I'm pissed off because SimCity's not on there.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing. I think SimCity should have been a launch game. You know what's even worse, though, is Nintendo said that the games are no longer going to be, weekly or whatever. They're going to or monthly or however they're done. They're just randomly going up here.
Yes, Nintendo did say that. So, like I said earlier on at the start, Nintendo's been dropping 2 or 3 NES games each month, basically, for people to play. Going forwards, it's going to happen irregularly, which means whenever Nintendo has something to share, I guess, which is a little bit disappointing. I think part of the value of that system was getting something new to play every month, and I think that in not doing that, there'll be months where people feel like they're just not getting their value for their membership as such. So that's an odd one. And I'm also really disappointed that it is still only the 2 consoles. I wrote a piece about this on Digitally Downloaded. I really do think that for the system to work as an archive of kind of Nintendo nostalgia, it really needs Game Boy Advanced, and Nintendo 64 stuff there as well. All of which the Switch can easily handle. But for whatever reason, Nintendo is sticking to its guns and not being quite limited in terms of its approach to the console range, which is odd because, everybody knows Nintendo is so great because it has such a deep library of historical content, and it's got such a heritage in so many different consoles. It really does surprise me that they're not working to embrace that more with this system.
Unless they're having issues with the emulation, or it's just so
well, that can't be the case because there is so many Game Boy games that are actually on the Switch now already, thanks to the Konami stuff, and also the Collection of Mana. It can't be that hard to emulate a Game Boy game.
Well, where their whole thing is trying to make it instantaneous. Maybe there's an issue with it's instant in, instant out, that sort of thing with it. I don't know. It just seems weird. Like Virtual Console was like that. It was really, really slow, and then suddenly it was a flood. Then it became really, really slow again. Like it could also just be licensing as well, but yeah, that's more logical.
Well,
Like
licensing wouldn't apply to just Nintendo's games.
Close
So,
to.
yeah,
We won't
don't
ever
get-
see Final Fantasy on this particular service, but I think all the SNES Final Fantasies are coming to Switch at some point anyway.
I think what we said last week anyway is that what we really need is a Game Boy Virtual Console. I'm just going to call it Virtual Console for now. A Game Boy one on the Switch, and then have the Game Boy Advance ones there, and then just have all the Final Fantasy games which ever released on the Game Boy Advance on it, and then we'd have the best Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, Square Enix is not going to give away its Final Fantasy games. That's just not going to happen. That's too valuable to it. Not when it can just throw out a really bad port with crappily redone sprites and still earn $1 billion from it. So yeah, that's not going to happen. It was a bit of a miracle that there was a Final Fantasy game on the Super NES Mini at all, to be honest. But there is certainly other stuff that they can get, some more minor stuff. I mean, how good would it be if Ogre Battle was on this system?
Ooh.
That's a game that Square Enix has forgotten about, so it can't be worth too much to them. They could just stick it on there just to show support for Nintendo. And there's heaps of other RPGs that were released on the Super NES. So
there's so many good games. Maybe this is the chance to finally release Bahamut Lagoon in English.
Yes. Yes, there's so much that can be done, and I actually think, I know people have been critical of this online system because you have to pay money, and previously you'd only get your NES games to play. There's actually so much potential for this because this is one area where Nintendo really is different to its competitors. It has that retro stuff, and its fans love that stuff, and it's really odd that they don't do more. I mean, in an ideal world, I would suggest that Nintendo should release 3 to 4 games per month, and it should be one Game Boy, one NES, one Super NES, one N64 or whatever. And they should do it every month. Yeah. Maybe you can't do that with the N64. There was only about 10 games released on that console. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally not that concerned about it not being monthly anymore. I think I don't have any particular reason. I just get the games when they come out, and I think SNES, especially compared to NES games are substantial enough, and I feel like they've aged a lot better. And so, I mean, for me, with the NES Switch Online stuff, every month I'd go and play each new game for like 30 seconds, and then that was about the extent of it, the extent of what I do with it. And so having them monthly was kind of fit into that in a weird sort of way where I could have something to look forward to and then play it and then forget about it. Whereas I think I'll actually play the SNES games a lot more and spend more actual time with them, so I won't be, it's not like I'm going to be sitting here waiting for something new to do, because
Oh, for sure. I mean, I spent 4 hours just playing Super Mario Kart yesterday, all over again, and that's about the billionth time I've played Super Mario Kart to death. But I love that game so much, and you are right, they are much more substantial games, and the fact that there's 20 of them on there, including ones that I've never played before, that's months of entertainments right there, months of content, so much content.
About the content.
But I don't know, I still, just purely from a library and archival point of view, there's just so much stuff that Nintendo has that I would ache to replay given half the chance. And yeah, there is 68 games, I think, in total now, if you're a subscriber. So you can't really complain about the raw amount of value you get from it. But
I think fans are just annoyed that at the end of the day, they're getting the same games which they had on the Wii, the same games they had on the Wii U. Like it's just the same collection over and over and over, drip fed to people. Like I think they want things to be released a lot more quicker and a lot more newer games or games they've never seen before on either other platforms.
So what you're saying is Nintendo fans are basically unreasonable and irrational.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, possibly.
Well, I mean, also there is a lot of stuff that hasn't been on there before, like the Demon's Crest and that brawler game and the Japan only Puyo Puyo. And I think I can't remember exactly what was on the NES collection, but there's a lot of stuff there as well that hadn't been on any previous
even the sports game
services.
stuff. Even the sports games, there's two of them on there. There's Super Tennis and Super Soccer. Is that what they call it? Or football?
Yeah.
Super Soccer. So those two games, those two games are actually good. I know, a lot of people tend to ignore sports games because you have to be a certain audience, I guess, for them. But those are actually quite good sports games, and they haven't been available beforehand. So it's good that they're there. Especially the tennis one. I actually really enjoyed that tennis one. I'm terrible at it. I lose a lot, but it's good fun.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they do a really good job of balancing like the stuff like Super Metroid that they don't really have an option of not having on there, even though everyone's played it a billion times, and it's still fun when you play it for the billionth and first time. But I think they're balancing out stuff like that with the stuff that is actually quite obscure.
What's that one? There was a one, I think it might be a platformer, but the cover art is like dinosaurs and prehistoric people and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what it's called.
Joe and Mac 2, Lost in the Tropics. Yeah. Is that like an Adventure Island clone?
I have never played it before. I didn't even know it existed, so that's another one that I'm quite keen on. I think it's all Jellico, isn't it? These are all Jellico games. For some reason, Nintendo or somebody has managed to get Nintendo the license for republishing a lot of these old Jellico games. I think that's where this comes from, because the brawlers are Jellico.
Yeah.
Which is good, because Jellico is a no longer existing company, so the fact that those games are available is the only way you're going to get to play them, which is... Yeah.
I didn't realize. Maybe that's why it's easier to get licensing rights, because nobody.
With games, licensing can either be really easy for defunct companies, or it can be an absolute nightmare.
That's true.
Some games we'll just never see again because there's about 30 different owners in the game, and half of them are dead, and it's just not worth the effort. So, anyway. Super NES, it's good. If you're not yet a member of Direct, it's cheap anyway. Not Direct, Nintendo Online, it's pretty cheap. It's like $10 a month or something, isn't it? It's not that bad. And
it's less than it even.
Yeah, so, and you get, like I said, 68 odd games to play between the NES and Super NES, so do it. And, we should quickly mention, you can also get the Super Nintendo controller, which is neat. Nintendo announced a Super Nintendo controller which works with the Switch, so you can play the games as they were originally designed to be played, which is cool. And we'll go to some music from Trent. Pick a Super NES game that's on
Super
that
NES
list.
game on that list.
Yeah.
On the list of games. Hold on, let me just look at the list. Let's go with some kind of Star Fox, retro Star Fox.
Star Fox music. Yes, we've never had that on the podcast before. Okay, done. And we're back. So for the last section of the podcast, we're going to do a deep dive, to use the suit-wearing technical term for it, into one particular game, or I guess two, really, that was announced at the Direct, and that is Deadly Premonition. It's back, which is great, because Deadly Premonition is amazing. These games were... So the first Deadly Premonition is available as of right now. They announced it and then dropped it on the same day, which is always a good fun thing to do with Nintendo. With Directs, there's always one or two surprises that just land, and you can just enjoy them straight away. So, Deadly Premonition is there right now. You can download it and enjoy it. And the other one is Deadly Premonition 2 is happening. So, Hidetaka Suehiro, got his act together and is making a second one for us, which is amazing. I don't think anybody expected there would ever be a Deadly Premonition 2. I know you're a big fan of Deadly Premonition, Matt. Why?
I'm going to disagree with you there and say I'm not a big fan of Deadly Premonition.
Okay.
Mostly because I've never played it.
Really? I thought you had.
It's something that I feel like I would enjoy, and but I've just never have, because of I think I've got it on PC, but I've never got around to actually playing it, and everyone says I don't like playing. I prefer playing games on consoles when I can. And apparently, all the console ports of it over the years have been terrible, and for various reasons. So I just never have played it, even though I know it's something I will enjoy. But now that it's on Switch, I will actually get around to playing it.
It is a very you game, Matt. It's very anti-game.
I like that.
Yeah, it's famous for being one of the most polarizing games ever, where people either have a 1 out of 10 response to it or a 10 out of 10 response to it. You can go and check the Metacritic out to see that for proof.
That was one of the selling points in the press release for it that came out after the Direct. That was the whole point. Hey, play this game that everyone hated.
No, it's not so much that everybody hated it. It's just that it is very, very polarizing, and a lot of people absolutely do hate it. And that is definitely something they kind of take pride in. And you would, I guess, because there are people that absolutely love Deadly Premonition, people like me who think the world of it. Or I was really amused to see our good mate Jim Sterling's reaction on Twitter to Deadly Premonition, because he's a massive fan of Deadly Premonition as well. And I guess that kind of goes to the kind of people that would find Deadly Premonition enjoyable. It's that oddball, very unique type of game that doesn't necessarily play well. In fact, it plays pretty terribly. It's not just the console ports. It's just not a very well-playing game. And it has all kinds of really odd elements, like it's an open world thing for absolutely no reason. It doesn't need to be. And it doesn't do anything with the open world. But at the same time, it kind of needs it because it's so pointless. It's a very surrealistic kind of open world. And yeah, it's got these kind of conversations, like the dialogue in the game it's one of those things that you either get or you do not get on any level. So there's like a 10-minute conversation where the lead character talks about how well made the biscuit that he's eating at the police station is, because it's a homemade biscuit, and he goes in depth about how good the butter content is compared to the sugar and how crumbly it is, and he has this long digression about this biscuit, and you can just tell that a lot of people would be playing this game going, what the hell, I'm playing a horror game and why is he talking about a biscuit? But it really goes to the tone of the game. It's very oddball. It's very Twin Peaks style.
Trent, the video game.
It's great. I love it. I love how surrealistic it is. I love how tonally inconsistent it is, but in a deliberate way to really mess with you. And it's a one-of-a-kind game for sure. It'd be interesting to see how Swery is able to follow on with that with Deadly Premonition 2, because on top of assuming that there would never be one because it was such a polarizing game that didn't particularly sell well, I also assumed that the creative energy for that game was done in the first, and it didn't really need a sequel. But in saying that, I thought the same about Twin Peaks, and there is a sequel to Twin Peaks. So, yeah, definitely an interesting Interesting game. And good on Nintendo for getting it on the Switch. I think it's exclusive, isn't it? The second one, Deadly Premonition 2?
Nobody really knows at this stage. I think they, no, like the publishers haven't said anything either way, and so it's that, which means it probably is not. But they had an agreement with Nintendo to announce it for Switch first. Part of me hopes it is exclusive, just because a lot of people are getting unreasonably upset at the possibility of it being exclusive.
Or if it isn't going to be not exclusive, then the only other platform it's on is the Epic Game Store. That would make me very happy. That would make me so happy.
I could see it being like a PC release, like maybe after the Switch is released or like close to it, saying, hey, it's also going to be on PC, but in 6 months' time, like maybe it's like a timed exclusive. But yeah, it's definitely got the same vibe as like people complaining about the exclusivity like Astral Chain does. It's like, it's not on my platform I play.
All the Astral Chain stuff is bizarre. Like, it's literally a Nintendo game, like that Nintendo licensed and owns the IP for and
published.
For,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not coming to PS4, guys. Sorry.
Every conversation about Astral Chain is surreal in its absolute weirdness. Like, I've been right tuned into the ongoing conversation about how bad the game is because you play as a cop and the cop's not a bad person. And I was like, this is just one very weird conversation that's going on and isn't stopping. It's weird because I don't know. It's weird because it's like the game, and nobody's talking about anything to do with the game. Everybody's talking around it in stuff that doesn't really have any relevance.
Let's sidetrack to Astral Chain. Let's talk about how shit the final boss is. Like, seriously. No. I'm going on a rant here now. Okay, so I was playing the game. I was enjoying the game. I was really excited for the game. I got up to, like, the end boss. And the first bit of information, which I knew that the end boss is going to be the most polarizing, badly designed piece of shit ever, was when there was a pointless section which you literally have to jump from rock to rock to rock to rock. And if you fall off any of those rocks, you're back at the start of the rocks. There's at least 20 of them. So if you fall off at, say, the 19th or whatever rock, you're now at the start of the whole section. Now, part of it was my fault. I admit I should have been using the sword guy who has the longer jump, but it was really crap. And
I'm going to interrupt you there and say that's not entirely true, because, I mean, I also did not enjoy that section, but the checkpoint, there's a checkpoint kind of every 5 or 6 rocks. I know this because I fell off basically every rock.
Alright, well, I didn't notice this because I kept going back to the start. I'm like, why am I back at the start? It just seemed like the start every single time.
Yeah, I think it all kind of just looks the same as also part of the...
Okay, well, our next bad branch is, alright, so there's a checkpoint right before, like, the final form of the boss, and it's like a new chapter sort of thing. I'm like, awesome, I'll get all my health back because I was down to, like, 3 or 5 health live things. And no, my health didn't resume, so I've got, like, low health. I've got no health revival things, so I can't physically complete the game because my character is so unhealthy. It just, like, when I'm playing, I get right to the end, and then, like, the boss starts doing that roll attack where it absorbs you, and then suddenly it's got, like, walls. And then, like, near the end, I keep getting sucked into it, so I suddenly lose all my health really quickly. I can't revive myself, so then I die, and I'm like, So that's where I'm up to with Astral Chain, and while I'll never finish it.
Platinum Games has never had a good end boss. All of their games have a really crappy end boss. Nier Automata's end boss was terrible.
I can't even remember what it was. I'm trying to remember what it was.
It was the guy, and you're in the swirling vortex of doom, and he's throwing stuff down at you from above and stuff. Like you're in that tornado in the destroyed city.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
and he's just a terrible boss. It's not necessarily hard, not like Astral Chain's boss is difficult, but he's just terrible. I don't think Platinum Games knows how to finish their games, to be honest. I think they go to all the effort to create the great action context, and they actually do a good job with the kind of the bosses along the way, but they just don't know how to finish without escalating it to a point where either it's too irritating to be fun, or it's just completely, not memorable. So Bayonetta's the same. Both Bayonetta games have terrible end bosses, just not interesting.
My only advice I can give you, Trent, is to change it down to the Unchained mode, which gives you, among other things, unlimited revives.
But I got so close to the end, and we're playing in casual mode.
Well, just play it on the no difficulty mode just to enjoy the ending.
Yeah.
Just that way you get closure.
Yeah.
Closure. And isn't there like post-game like stories as well? I don't know. Point is, I may never finish that game. Like Nier, I feel like I don't know where I got up to in Automata. I do. I was up to. There was definitely a destroyed city. There was definitely a hole in the ground. I definitely saw those weird like robot things which had their own little tree village. Like, so I got somewhat far into it, but I don't know. I don't know if I finished that either.
Did you get to the Mad Cult?
Yeah, the cult in like the Disneyland area.
No. That's just that's the village of the robots. Did you get to the actual cult?
I don't know. There was no. Were they in the desert? There were people in the desert, right?
No. It's a cult of robots, and they worship. You wouldn't remember. You'd know the scene I'm talking about just from when I said the cult. Yeah. I mean, Matt knows, right? The cult.
I feel like they didn't get to the cult.
Yeah, well, in that case, yep, that's the one. You didn't quite. You had at least a third of the game still to go.
Mm.
But you should go back and finish it sometime. That's a good game, except for the end boss.
That's a good game.
Anyway, that was an interesting digression. Back to Deadly Premonition by the original. In fact, I actually should mention at time of recording, there are apparently some issues with the Switch version of Deadly Premonition that they're looking to patch out. I don't believe it's as bad as, say, Bloodstained was, but I believe that the recommendation right now is to perhaps hold just for that patch to come. But anyway, it'll come.
I already bought it. I haven't started playing it, but I already bought it.
Swery promised that it's coming, so, trust Swery. He's a good guy. And on that note, we'll go to some music. I don't know if Deadly Premonition has music, but I think it does. I'll find something Deadly Premonition. If not, then there won't be any music, and it'll just fade out.
Something from a Swery game. Maybe like a Good Life. That's a good game when it comes out. When it's on Kickstarter eventually. And also a weird digression. I have the best version of Deadly Premonition. I have the board game. Everyone should go out and buy the board game.
Oh yes, there is a board game. Yes, I've heard good things about that. So yeah, definitely. All right, Deadly Premonition music. See you all next week.
Bye.